And then they say one smart alecky thing to a courtroom clerk, and they're done. And it's funny, you don't see much of them after that. So if I can give you any, little bit of advice on that end, be courteous and professional to everybody, whether they wear the robe, whether they're appointed by the governor, whether they've been elected or whatever. No matter how they got their job and what their job is, be courteous and professional to them. Now, does that mean I don't get any training, not going to go out fights with defense attorneys? Of course not. Of course not. But you can do that professionally and with a little sense of decorum, or you can just take it out and let it all fly. Any questions so far about anything I've touched on? I feel like the world is my oyster in terms of what we talked about things to do and things not to do. How many of you all have children now? Okay. How many of y'all are married now? All right. You're doing the hard part now, honestly, because once you get out and kind of start getting your groove, it gets a little bit easier. This is also nebulous. What to expect in law school, where do we go from here, and what are my anticipations, and what are my expectations, and what do I do with this? At least in the professional world, we kind of have a set of parameters to work within, and that helps a lot. And the hours you keep now are not normal hours. It's not a normal lifestyle. Study as long as y'all do, and as hard as y'all do, and carry the pressures that you do with your jobs at home and your jobs here. My challenge is, yeah, go ahead.
I was going to ask you, did you know, I guess you did, just from the time you were in law school, that you wanted to be public service, or was it doing mock trial in your court that you kind of saw?
I knew I always wanted to be a prosecutor. And I had some reporter asked me, well, what was it? Was it, some show you watched or some book or whatever? I'm 45 years old, so when I was growing up, there were not TV shows other than Perry Mason about prosecutors in the courtroom. They weren't all over every channel like they are now. And I don't remember a specific aha moment when I thought, that's what I want to be as a prosecutor. I just remember that was always my goal. That was always my mission. When I got to law school, I knew that private work was not my cup of tea, and was not what appealed to me. The public servant aspect of it, and particularly the wearing the hat of the prosecutor, was what I wanted to do. And then getting involved in the moot court and the mock trial kind of further cemented that. How many of y'all are active in one or both of those organizations? There's just something really exciting about standing up on your feet and making a point. I have delivered hundreds of closing arguments and opening statements, and I still get nervous. I still get very nervous before I stand up. And I always tell people that I'll know that I got to quit trying cases when I don't get nervous, when I don't get a little bit of the butterflies before I stand up and address the jury one last time. Because the responsibility is too great, the job is too important, and it's huge. That one-on-one contact with the jury, there's nothing like it. So yeah, I knew getting involved in those organizations helped cement that I love doing it, and I felt comfortable doing it. I mean, there are some people that are not as comfortable standing on their feet and making the point. When my husband and I were here in law school, in the older, much uglier building, and y'all are fortunate enough to be working in and surviving in, our law school, our trial advocacy professor was Ron Gilman, who's now in the Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals. A wonderful, wonderful legal scholar and trial expert. And we would have class on Saturday mornings, and he would tape us. As the course progressed and you got ready and you did your big trial at the end of the semester, that he would tape us. And for many, many years after my husband and I were married, we would pull that out and watch it just because it was the funniest thing ever. I mean, we could a lot of local attorneys with that video, but it was, and you either know you got it or you don't. So I was fortunate that I enjoyed standing on my feet and talking and making a point. And I love trial work. Not everybody does. My office consists of over 100 lawyers, many of whom are some of the greatest trial attorneys in the country. Literally. Well-known well respected all over the country for what they do. We have many, many attorneys in the office that have never tried a case, and that's just fine. That's not their strength, and we need them in the responsibilities and the function that they perform. That was their passion. That was their decision. They listened to their inner voice, and they said, you know what? Standing up in front of a jury and not being able to sleep for 4 days and not being able to eat for 2 weeks before trial, that's not my cup of tea. You know, I thrive on it, but it just depends on who you are and what feels to you and what you get strength from and how you best feel you can contribute. I began trying, I brought with me, I don't know why, but I just grabbed it, my trial book, and I keep this. It's every trial I've ever had, going back to January 4th, 1994, for Sean Gunn. This was back before we had computerized anything. This is Sean Gunn's booking photo when he was, look at it, doesn't he just say, is that the biggest? Nobody knows who he is. Is anybody related to him? That would be really bad. That was my first trial. And I tried it with another assistant. Our office back then was much smaller than it is now. And I started in Division 5. Judge Daly was the judge. I don't know if any of y'all know Joe Daly. He's one of the best judges we've ever had in Shelby County. He retired a few years ago. But for Sean, and picked on some little girls on the playground, and we had the distinct pleasure of getting to try him to a jury because he just wouldn't take anything. He didn't think that what he'd done was wrong. And he, I'm sure, been beat up plenty of times on the playground and didn't see what the big problem was. But it's kind of, I don't know, in a very rough, raw way, my life's work at 201 Poplar. It's every trial, like I said, that I've ever had. And you look back and you think about how it all evolves and how it all progresses. When I started in criminal court, I was married. I didn't have any children. And since 1993, when I've been up in criminal court, I've had 4 children and I'm still married to the same man. But the way that we try cases has changed a lot. And a lot of that is due to the media and due to the TV shows and due to the influx of, I can't even name them all because that's one thing I don't do. I don't watch TV. Maybe that's one way to find a balance. I don't watch TV. We watch a lot of baseball at my house and Tiger basketball. But anyway. But because of the influx of the CSI shows and the Law and Order shows and all of those, jurors come to us now with much higher expectations than they did 15, 20 years ago. They come to us expecting, first of all, us to be decked out in Giorgio Armani suits with $500, stiletto pumps, and the men to have their Giorgio Armani suits. And then when they see us, they're like, they really don't get paid very well, do they? And they expect the glitz and glam and the drum roll and the music effects, and they expect the police department to be able to solve a crime like that in 30 minutes. And though technology has done many, many wonderful things for us, and though we've been able to make some advancements in prosecution and law enforcement because of technology, there's still no substitution for good old hard work, whether it's from the police department or whether it's on our end. I work with a lot of people that are very technically savvy, as I'm sure all of you guys are. I am not. I'm trying to become more so. My idea of technical savvy is I'm real proud that I can text message. That's been a real struggle for me. My oldest told me that it would be easier for me to send up smoke signals to what I was trying to communicate with because it takes us so long. But because of the changes in what jurors want, we have to adapt. And so we spend a lot more time as an office now doing what a few of us did 20 years ago, and that's talking about, as a group and putting together a team, and Sam sat in on many of these sessions this summer, how are we best going to sell this case to the jury? And so when I look back through this book, I kind of see not only my life work and the evolution of Amy Weirich, the prosecutor, but also kind of where we've all come as prosecutors around the country. And I think we do a much better job now of teamwork and not just assuming that you put a trial together for a jury in chronological order. Sometimes that is the best way, to start at the start and end at the end. But there's there's a lot to be said for kind of taking a case and throwing it inside out and throwing it against the wall and putting it back together and see what happens. It's very important, I think, for you all particularly, to stay up to date on all of the technological advancements that are going on out there. Whether, again, you find yourself in the public sector or not, it doesn't matter, because those areas are going to creep into whatever you do, whether it's public service or private work. The terminology, the advancements, the techniques are going to become very important. When I made the comment about there's no substitution for just good old-fashioned rolling up your sleeves and sweat equity, the case I tried a few years ago was a young woman who stabbed her mother to death 50 times. I don't know if any of y'all remember the case. And it was one where we had all kinds of cell phone information. We had a horrible, horrible, grisly crime scene with blood everywhere that you would expect to find blood when a woman's been stabbed over 50 times when she was asleep. But the thing in my mind that made that case was not the DNA or the lack of DNA or the great cell phone tower technology and how everybody knows where you, and believe me, they do. They can find you no matter, you may think you're hiding, but Uncle Sam is watching, and they can find you. And the cell phone tower technology is amazing, and it's getting even more and more advanced every day. But the one thing in that case that made it was W.D. Merritt, who's one of the greatest homicide detectives to ever live, and we are fortunate that he works in Memphis, Tennessee, and has for many, many, many years. Realized that this young woman had a cut on her hand. And he thought, well, all right, she's our suspect. We know the woman's been stabbed 50 times, and our main suspect has a cut on her hand. And she's got a bandage on it. So she probably had to go somewhere to get that stuff. And he literally got in his car and drew a circle around every Walgreens in a certain mile from her home, and went to every Walgreens, got out of his car. He didn't use the email, he didn't use the phone, he didn't get on the internet. He got in his car, he went to the Walgreens, he walked to every Walgreens, he talked to every manager, and he said, hey, let me just ask you, if somebody checked out on a certain day at a certain time, would there be a video footage of that? And he finally found the right Walgreens, and the manager said, well, yeah, we've got the footage. Well, could you tell me what was bought? Well, sure. Well, if I brought you what was found in the back of her car, could you tell me if these items were bought at this Walgreens? Well, of course I could, because every Walgreens item is specifically coded to that Walgreens. And those are things, yeah, the barcode helps tremendously, but without him getting out of his chair and away from the internet and getting in his car and doing it the old-fashioned way, we would have never had that great witness and that great video of her buying the liquid bandage and the tape and all the other things hours after she stabbed her mother to death. So I use that as an example of, yes, the technology is great, and we've got to use it, and we've got to know how to use it effectively, but it's not a substitute. It's just not, and it can't be. If it were, you wouldn't need the face and voice of a lawyer standing up and pleading his or her case to a jury, or pleading his or her case to a judge on a motion for summary judgment, or wherever you find yourself on a Friday afternoon. So I think you have to be cognizant of who your audience is, whether it's a jury, whether it's a judge, whether it's a conference room of CEOs that have flown in from across the country to hear your pitch on whatever. You got to know who your audience is. You got to do a little homework on them and be aware of their expectations and also perhaps their limitations. Don't assume anything. Whether it's in a conversation with a coworker or somebody that you've had a dispute with at work and you've got to reprimand or fire or whatever, or whether it's just a friendly conversation